now. Okay, we're recording now.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get our meeting going then. So just kind of want to welcome everybody to our NSBE TCPC monthly GBM for October. Glad to have you. I think we've got a pretty good agenda set up for today. As you can see, the agenda there is on the screen. So we have a nice panel discussion. This is the NSBE's 5-year anniversary. So we've invited back some of our original founders. So I think we'll have a very good discussion with those guys and appreciate you guys showing up for that. And then we'll also have a good discussion about voting safely and tips on running for public office with the Urban League Twins. And then we'll do some general announcements. So let's go ahead and let's roll into our NSBE mission statement, and let's go ahead and do that. So the mission statement is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community.
Cool. All right. So time for our icebreaker.
Can you
y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you post a link in the chat?
Yeah. So okay, sure.
Does anybody see it yet, or is it there?
I can see 2 people.
I don't see it in the chat.
I don't see it in the chat though. I don't see.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Let's break. Oh, there you go. Got 11.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna wait 1 more minute, and then we're gonna go ahead and start. All righty, we're gonna go ahead and start the icebreaker. So how many times has the chapter won Region 4 Professional Chapter of the Year? The answer is 2.
Yikes.
So all of
I
these
got that one
questions are going to
wrong.
be about NSBE TCPC if you haven't already guessed. Here goes the next question.
People were outwardly thinking.
Oh. How many times has the Chapter 1 Region 4 Collegiate Program of the Year?
Man, that music is something else.
The answer is 3 times. And we've also done that consecutively, 3 years in a row. Okay, Tarhe. See if you can stay in the lead. Third question. Who have been the NSBE TCPC presidents in order? You gotta get it in order. Good. I'm about to say all the presidents should have gotten this one right. Man, Tari's killing it.
Nah, be no catching that one.
All right, next question. Where was our first GBM in 2015 held? So where was it held in?
I couldn't.
Jerome Mills.
I didn't see how to vote. How did you vote?
Oh,
I couldn't-
typical. Are you on your computer or on your phone?
Computer.
Oh, I'm about to say typically it'll just pop up and then you can just vote.
Huh. Okay, I didn't see how to vote on that one. I tried to click on it, but I didn't. Oh well.
Bring it on home.
All right, last question. What's the name of our 5-year anniversary fundraiser called?
Okay, I don't see how to vote. Where do you click on? I can't click on anything to vote.
It's not on the Zoom call. It should be on the site.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at Tamar's screen, Kevin.
So yeah, it was the 5 for 5 initiative. I'm surprised nobody wanted the 25 stacks for change.
Oh, no wonder. Oh, no wonder. Okay, I was looking at his.
For the 5 years, 5 bands. All right, thank you all for participating. We're gonna go ahead and start.
Hold on, you didn't say who won.
Huh?
Who
I know,
won?
right? I think Tari won, right?
What prize do I get?
Oh,
Oh, snap.
okay. Yep, Tari won. Mike, Leonard, and I can't see who the 4th person is. Congrats, Tari.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Will he be getting anything?
Yeah, that's a primary question.
TCPC t-shirt.
Right.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you all for participating.
All right. So thanks for running that icebreaker there, Tamar. Appreciate
No
that.
problem.
So we'll start our discussion here about the TCPC 5-year anniversary. So just because we're recording for folks that don't know me, I'm Leonard Lewis. I am the current vice president. Ray Smith is our current president, and he's on some work business, so was not able to attend. So I'm going to facilitate the panel in his absence. And I want to start by just letting each panelist kind of introduce themselves. So this is our founding board, and just want them to kind of introduce themselves, and then we'll get into the panel questions.
Oh, okay.
In any order?
Any order.
All right, I will start. Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Heather Gibbs, currently from South Carolina. I've been in the Twin Cities now for 6 years. Actually working multiple jobs, Microsoft, and also at the law firm doing patent engineering at the time. And let's see, I guess that'll be it for now, right?
Okay.
What else? Is there anything else you think you want to know right now? We'll probably get to the panel.
Yeah, we'll probably get into it.
Oni?
Oni?
All right.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. My name is Oni Wanrike. I am an associate brand manager at Danone. We're a French dairy company. I am based in Denver, Colorado.
All right.
All right, I'll go next. My name is Tari Osiebe. I'm currently a full-time MBA student attending the Olin Business School at Washington University in St. Louis. Currently a second year. During my time at NSBE TCPC, I was the standing secretary. And to me, NSBE means community and opportunity.
Yeah. And can I pose that same question to you, Heather and Oni? I missed that one. That's part of the first question too, was what NSBE means to you.
Oh, that's pretty good. I liked his answer, so I'm gonna say I will add on to it community, opportunity, networking.
Huge one, big one.
Well, you guys took all the good ones.
I just add on to it.
Yeah. Yes. I think for me, what, at least when we got to CPC started, what NSBE meant to me, both in undergrad and then, was family.
Okay. So let me roll here into the next question, and whoever wants to take it can take it, but like to hear all of your thoughts on this. But what motivated you to want to develop the Twin Cities chapter, the NSBE chapter here in the Twin Cities, and did you have some previous NSBE experience that influenced you?
Yes, definitely. So I actually, when I moved here, like I said, I've been here now for 6 years, but when I moved here, I was already a part of NSBE pretty high up at that time, even on the national and the regional level. And I just felt some type of way that I moved to an area that did not have any kind of representation whatsoever. So that was really the biggest motivation. As you know, within NSBE, all the work is done at the chapter level. So even for myself, for me to be regional and national officers at that time, I just felt like I should still be doing something more on a local level. So I definitely took the initiative to try to do the hard work, the paperwork, right, and get the team together, which is how I met everyone else as well on the call. I think that we get a forum, and we had a whole slate together. We had everyone except our president.
Mm-hmm.
And then Oni came out of nowhere. I think someone actually just knew Oni was about to move into the Twin Cities. He came out of nowhere, jumped on the very first call we had, and stepped up to the plate. And then I'll let Oni actually add on from that. But you know, it's easy to say the rest is history up to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
I get-
that's exactly how it happened. I came to one of the meetings. I didn't know what I was walking myself into, that I was going to walk out being influenced to get the chapter going. But from that meeting, we, as you can imagine, whenever you ask, oh, who's going to lead this or who's going to do this, nobody really wants to raise their hand. And at that time, I've been heavily involved in the University of Minnesota chapter, so that's where I did my undergrad. So I still had kind of like the Twin Cities energy in me. So when that opportunity came in for us to get this started, I'm very passionate about kind of starting things from scratch and building from ground up. So it really fit into some of my professional and personal goals. And then from there, I said, okay, let's do it. And then enlisted others to join us to get it started. Yeah, so I'll pause there.
Yeah, so pretty much, like everybody said, for me, I had a little bit of some experience dealing with NSBE on the collegiate level at University of Kentucky. I'd already seen, the positives and needs and the benefits, and also, the opportunity it gave to kind of give students like myself to kind of give back to community, right? So kind of from mentoring to, like Heather said, networking, also having mentors as well. So that was pretty much it for me in during my college days. Then when I moved to Minneapolis, to be honest, like Oni was actually the one who tapped me. Like he reached out to me, hey, I know you're an engineer, you've had some exposure to NSBE, so yeah, I want you on the board. And that was exciting. Like I kind of took it two different ways. Like someone reached out to me without me realizing, that means he sees some assets in me. And secondly, I was like, oh, I'm in a new city, what better way to meet people, to connect and just be a member of the community here. So that's what led me to joining.
All right. And I know all about the president tapping you on the shoulder to do something. That's a hard call to ignore.
You can't say no.
No, you can't say no. That's how I got into NSBE TCPC. President tapped me on the shoulder, and there was no second thoughts about it. Just I needed to serve and do what needs to be done. So coming off of that question a little bit, knowing so I've been sitting on the board here myself here for 3 years. And every year, knowing how much time we spend trying to put a board together, just so kind of segueing into the next question, how are you guys able to bring that initial board together? Because so we've got about 12, sometimes 12 to 14 members. How are you able to pull that board together and have a cohesive unit?
I think the cohesiveness came I would like to think that was pretty seamless once everyone was pulled together for the most part. But it was actually like it was that networking piece, right? So at the time, I was working for United Technologies Aerospace out in Burnsville, and so it was really just trying to use like even my engineers that I knew from work, and then networking my other engineer friends that I'd met in the area as well, like just trying to, because of course I didn't want everybody to just come from the same company, but I was still new in the area as well. So just like word of mouth, just trying to meet engineers so that, again, like we all could come together in some piece. And like I said, at that point, I was really just having like a weekly stand-up call, just like every week, just to get get the word out, the buzz out that we were trying to form this grand thing. And I mean, it really wasn't that long. I felt like it was, we were trying to hit the minimum, and the minimum was, is it 10 members and then 5 officers, I think at that, right? And so like, that was the goal. And then, after that, it was once the board together, then you start realizing what other offices that you do need. And so that's where Oni and the team actually came in with trying to bring in. But at that point, initially, we were really just trying to get people to fill those slots. Like, what name did we put on this application? Yeah.
Yeah, I think to that point, kind of building the really just came from network. I think most of I want to say maybe 50% of the board at that time were people that I knew from University of Minnesota, right? That were either graduating or graduated in the last couple of years, that I know have been involved in NSBE undergrad. And I think some of the challenges also selling the idea of why a professional chapter is equally beneficial, because I think in undergrad, everybody, like the value proposition is clear, like, the job kind of comes from the conference. So trying to now say, okay, now that you've gotten the job and now that you're a professional, what is a value prop for still being part of NSBE Professional and leading and contributing. So I think that was one of the initial hurdles we had to get through to get people not just involved in the chapter on the board, but also like be an active member.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, they pretty much touched it. Honestly, I was going to defer that question to Oni because I think he did a good job kind of putting the team together, and of course, with the guidance of Heather as well. But for me, I think when I came in, the commitment was a huge thing for me, right? Hey, I already said I'm going to do this. I have to do it no matter what, right? And standing by the mission of NSBE. And wanting to promote Black engineers in the Twin City community, that was a big driving force for me. So I was committed to the weekly meetings, delivering on whatever tasks Mr. President had for me. And I think that was the biggest one for me. Just Minnesota during the winter, how that gets. Having to drive 30 minutes to certain locations for meetings. At the end of the day, it was all part of the fun and the experience as well. But the biggest one for me, from my own personal point of view, was the commitment. Just being able to hold myself accountable and help however way I could to help the chapter grow.
Yep, that's how we get it done. I'll segue in here into the next question. So you guys are the founding members and you've seen this board or this chapter grow over the last 5 years. So in what ways have you seen the chapter grow? And also, what opportunities do you see for the chapter going forward?
Wow. Well, as far as the last question, the opportunities, I mean, the sky's the limit. This leadership board, everything, I've been very impressed, like very impressed. I have not been able to actually attend as many of these meetings as I've wanted to, but that does not mean that I have not been paying attention, of course, to everything that has been going on. I've just been impressed with one, like the membership that's been increasing. Also, like we've been getting awards from like day one, it seems like once we came together, right? Like we truly hit the ground running. And I mean, I'm telling you, if this is my baby, it's like a proud, proud child. Like, and I think that shows like the passion of the people who were even committed to making this happen, because we did what it took to actually get all those, the recognition from regional and national level. So that's like the biggest thing that's just like amazing, like it's just so proud about. And so I think as engineers, we're already phenomenal to begin with, but I think that the creativity that everyone has, even a little icebreaker, like little icebreaker we just did virtually, like how we're just even adapting. So that's what we do, right? We adapt in these times. I've been truly impressed, but I am looking forward to the opportunities to see what everyone else comes with. I think that's the thing. That's why it's also important to rotate your leadership to give people that opportunity to work in their gift as well. And it's been happening. We can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the leadership is number one. And for me, even when I kind of stepped in and said, okay, we're going to get this chapter started, I, not that anybody put any pressure on me, but I put pressure on myself that this will have to work. This is not the first time. Back in the day, there was a professional chapter, so it's not like this is like the first crack. But there's been some hiatus, from the chapter for a while. And so when we finally got it started, I think one of the key things that I was like, okay, how do I ensure that I have a strong board, a strong commitment? So it looks like Tyra felt that, and ensuring that everybody pulled through. And to be honest with you guys, like when we started the chapter, I want to say we started a chapter with $40, right? Like that was literally, and that $40 was like after maybe 1 or 2 meetings, and we were deliberating on what the membership dues was going to be. And we said, I remember the room we're in, and we're like, okay, it's going to be $20. I don't know what it is now. And I think I paid 20, and then either Ahmed or Tyra, I don't remember the second person that paid 20, and that was literally the only money we had. And as president, I was thinking like, what am I going to do with $40? Like, so I think like that just shows you like the growth. So when we were, when we started getting sponsorship, and when we started like being recognized, and Eaton wanted to do stuff with us, and Target, and it kind of just made it legitimate, right? Like, and that $40 grew into more and more. So I think like just seeing the growth from then to where you guys are now. And I think also just I was in Twin Cities last year, and I attended a barbecue or some summer stuff, and I was just like, wow, like this is amazing, right? Like it's just a lot of the hard work of just the foundation of building truly grew. So for me, like seeing that growth is what makes me really proud. And I think that over time we've gotten more credibility, in this space, and the growth will continue to be. I think the growth is just keeping that leadership strong, right? Like I think like once your leadership either pipeline or if the leaders or the talent that are there is not steady, then everything will go down. So that's literally where I have my most worry, because I think like once the leadership is strong, the programming will come in, the engagement will come in. So it is on the leaders on the board to ensure just that continuity.
Yep, absolutely.
And yeah, just to build a little bit on all that, the Heather and Oni, I definitely agree with everything they just said. Also, additionally, if you think of it like from our perspective, now I think Oni and Heather will definitely agree with this. Feel free to disagree, but it's kind of like, you have a child, or you the fruits of a labor, or whatever analogy the way you want to think of it. While you're doing this right now, yes, you guys could be doing something else, sleeping, whatever, but you decided, hey, you're gonna serve the NSBE board. You might not get the fruit of that labor yet. You might not see, you might not reap the reward immediately, but where I come from right now is more of, man, like they're actually doing better than we did. So that is it right there. The fact that you guys are doing better than we did, then that means we must have done something right. And it's obviously to you guys now and to the next board to continue that momentum and continue to build on what the previous board must have done. So kudos to you guys, man. Kudos to you guys.
That's the mission. So we have time for just one more question, and you all don't have to answer, or if somebody has a really good answer for this particular question, but just want to leave this particular panel off on a high note. And if you could talk a little bit about the value of being a NSBE professional member.
I think that for myself, the value of NSBE professional definitely goes back to even the first answer or question with, I would say, even the networking piece, especially in this climate. If someone is even looking for a job, like that right there, this is a good source to even start out with, like your people. So, and it still kind of would be the same value as someone might have seen in undergrad as well. But I think also if, Minneapolis, Twin Cities area is very transient, people are always in and out. And so for those who are coming in, it's a great place, a great stop to network. If they're transitioning from jobs, it's a great stop right there as well. So I think that of all the plethora of reasons, I would go back to networking, because even if you're new into the area, it's also instant family.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think, for me, actually being part of the professional chapter was instrumental in my MBA application. So when I was, Tara and I kind of went through the same process of as an organization called Consortium. And for consortium application for MBAs, you have to write a diversity essay. And that diversity essay I have seen, even though like is targeted towards minorities, I have seen Black folks get dinged because you have to demonstrate and all that kind of stuff. So when I was writing my essay was 100% NSBE TCPC, right? And I think that was instrumental in me being admitted, through that program. So if anything, the leadership development that I got from the chapter and being part of the professional chapter, and as well as that access and that network truly impacted my career. So I would say like that's one of the many things that I gained from being a professional member.
Definitely, man. So I'm just gonna end this question with a personal story. Fun fact first, Oni wrote my consortium letter of recommendation. Yeah, so go figure, right? But my personal story is, I think I was 3 months on the board, 4 months.
Yeah.
And I got laid off. So I was like, man, okay, like I need a job. I was like, man, Oni was still blowing up my phone. Yo, we got a plan for this meeting, this activity for NSBE. And obviously, hey, this is where the commitment comes in, right? I said I'm going to serve this board. So by all means, I'm going to do that. Ultimately, believe within 2 months, I got a job through the conference in Boston. And this was year 2016. I'll never forget. So it was me and Oni that actually ended up traveling to represent the board, Twin Cities chapter in Boston. So, like Heather has mentioned multiple times, networking, man, it's part of the benefits of being a professional member. You never know, what tomorrow has. And the fact that COVID right now has just, thrown things upside down. The fact that you guys are keeping this community, you guys are keeping, your network, your professional network. You never know who you're gonna have to reach out to, because at the end of the day, the job I got, the company I ended up with was a company in the South, Southern company, headquartered in Atlanta, but I was out of the office in Birmingham. Heather was actually the one that sent me an email. I still have that email to this day. Hey, Tari, do you know this company? You might be a great fit, being that I was interested in power. So that was it. And, I kind of went with that, and, everything worked out. So you just never know, man. You just never know where your network will take you. So
I'm actually very happy that Tara told that story. It is his story to tell, but it's I think it's one of the few times when I was president where I recognized the power of not just like NSBE Professional, but just our TCPC chapter, right? Because when that situation happened, of course, like that's his private, situation, but I knew what was going on in his personal life. And I also recognized that our chapter can help. So when we were planning, I think that was our first conference that we went to as a chapter, and we were deciding, okay, who's gonna go? I think we got a little bit of money by then. And we're like, okay, who's gonna go? I made sure that I prioritized that Tari attended that conference, not just as secretary, because also he will be prioritized anyway, but also because I know that what impact that could, have for him in terms of opportunities. So when I talk about like family, right, and I talk about that network and that community, it can come into play in situations that you never imagined, right? Because when Tari started, he had a job, like everything was good. And then, like he said, 3 months in, things kind of went south, and we had to, use the resources of TCPC to make sure that we help our own.
All right, man. That's a very good discussion, and we're super appreciative of your guys' time. It's been really good to get a good insight into where the board came from. You know, it helps understand our journey, where we're going to go in the future, and you know, what it means to serve and be on the board and be a NSBE professional. So just want to once again thank you guys for your time spending with us, and we appreciate you greatly.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you. Congrats, guys.
Yeah.
This is
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
We
Thanks.
appreciate
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, Leonard, for taking us starting the GBM. So at this point, we'll invite our main speaker. They come from the Urban League Twin Cities. So I'll just give a brief bio of our two main speakers. So we have Hassan As-Siddiq in the call and Rachel Hudson. So for Hassan, he's the Advocacy and Civic Engagement Chair for Urban League Twin Cities Young Professionals. He's the former lab assistant at Juxtaposition Arts, where he worked for 3 years. He was part of the tactical urbanism lab that created the social service run around user experience simulation from Youth Prize Youth Participatory Action Research grant that is now mandated training for all City of Minneapolis directed service staff. He is a 2018 broader urban innovative leadership development leaders graduate through Emerge employee and development program. This is a group that specializes, it focuses on positive youth development through violence reduction strategies among K-8 graders in at Hope communities. He's the owner and founder of the Black Army Brigade, a socioeconomic framework for community development strategies. And he's also a member of the Hennepin County Ride or Die, that is cross-agency collaboration to participate in national grant challenge to end youth homelessness. So that is Hassan. For our second speaker, Rachel Hudson. He's the current vice president of Urban League Twin Cities Young Professional. He attended undergrad at Kentucky State University, earning a degree in mass communication and marketing. He recently graduated with a master's in business administration from St. Mary's University. He currently works for the Urban League Twin Cities, where his role is to connect community members and residents who are at risk of losing their home with resources to promote positive changes to prevent eviction, as well as first-time home ownership and other wealth accumulation program, tackling the disparities of home ownership and Minnesota racial wealth gap. He also supports individuals and families with great barriers such as felon, single mothers, and others by connecting them to resources that help secure housing access and increase stability. He's an alumni of Community Equity Pipeline Program, designed to equip people of color from underserved community with resources and tools to navigate the political arena and run for public office. He is a member of the Senator Tina Smith Home Ownership Advisory Council and currently a part of the University of Minnesota Humphrey Policy Fellowship Program for 2020 and 2021. So that's quite a lot of background, but yes, everyone please welcome Rachel and Hassan. So we'll have you take the platform.
Great, it's great to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here upon you fantastic group of individuals and professionals. My name is Rachel. I'm the Vice President of Urban League Twin Cities Young Professionals, and this is Hassan Kais. Sadiq, our Advocacy Pacific Engagement Chair. Our presentations on voting safely in light of COVID-19, also with some tips on running for public office. So you can go to the next. So we encourage everyone who can to vote early. We advise you to vote early in person. Now that we're less than 2 weeks away from election date, take a friend to the poll with you. If you're have to run to the restroom, if you have to be in a long line and you get bored, you have someone that can, have a conversation with and could just help you spend some time while you're in line. You can find your voting poll location at mnvotes.org. If you happen to not know where you need to go for your polling location, that website can help you determine that by your area code, your zip code, I'm sorry. The early voting began in mid-September and it goes until November 2nd. And of course, election day is November 3rd. We can go to the next slide. So here are some ways to volunteer safely without exposing ourselves to harm or virus if you are interested in getting activated. So having pure conversations, asking your friends, family, neighbors, co-workers, have you voted yet? Can you ride to the polls with me? Questions like that. Phone banking, text banking. I've gotten maybe 1 or 2 text messages every day from folk who are text banking and phone banking from different organizations, from nurses to lawyers. It's been crazy. So I know folk are definitely phone and text banking as a way to get back and volunteer during this time. Sharing on Facebook and social media, whether you're voting or not, sharing that you voted, the sticker, using the filters that social medias offer, lit dropping, canvassing for candidates, volunteering that way, and of course endorsing. If you have a candidate who you're passionate about, who's also passionate about some of the issues and things that you care about, feel free to endorse that candidate, especially if they're local. We go to the next one. So the absentee and mail-in voting, your 2020 ballot will count if it is mailed and postmarked no later than November 3rd and received by November 10th. It will also count if it is received in person at the election office that sent your ballot before 3 p.m. on election day. It is also will count if it's delivered by a service such as FedEx or UPS by 8 p.m. on election day. You can also drop off ballots for up to 3 other voters, but you must show identification with name and signature when returning the ballot for someone else.
And I will just add into that. So a lot of us really got like family members who are elderly and sick. So what this information does is it informs how to still get every vote counted. So some of us may take care of our elders or may take care of other folks in our professional careers. And what it says is that you guys can, as long as you have a statement from them, you can bring them in and vote in person with them by them giving permission to you in person or by having them fill out their absentee ballot. So they'll have to request it be mailed in before election day, which I encourage everybody, if you haven't already, request that this week so that you can get it by next week's mail, because time is also of the essence. And you'll take their ballots. They'll give you a yellow envelope. That's your ballot envelope. And that secures your vote. So when you bring it in, you'll show your ID and the 3 ballots in their respective envelopes with the information that they get in stickers on it. Sorry, you could carry.
Thank you, guys. Feel free throughout the rest of the presentation to chime in as well.
Definitely.
So for COVID-19 safety tips, of course, wear a mask. In addition to the normal safety tips we practice every day, such as social distancing, 6 feet or more, sanitizing and washing our hands. It's important to keep in mind that polling places will still be open and must still be accessible to voters. Voters will still have access to marking machines, assistance from election judges, and the ability to bring someone to help them at the polls. Um, to limit your time at the polling place, register in advance, check your registration and polling place before leaving home, and bring your own pen as another precaution. Voters do not have to go to the polls, of course, you can vote from home. And of course, to reduce the spread of the virus, voting from home is the best option. So um, hopefully these tips enlighten you and inspire you to vote from home. But we also encourage you to go to the ballots and place your ballots in person rather than the mail. And before we move on to this next phase of the presentation, I'd like Hassan to talk a little bit about what we've done in the past few months since everything that's been happening prior to social unrest after George Floyd's death, and uh, some of the things that we identified needed to happen as far as when it comes to the generation of as far as when it comes to people, things that impact us and our communities.
Yeah,
I'd like to talk a little bit about
yeah. So at the Urban League, Twin Cities and the Young Professional Auxiliary, who Rachel and I served with, we activated our advocacy and civic engagement, which is our community service track programs, kind of full steam in response to the unrest and the need for stewardship of the community's energy. So we did a series of power mapping. We created safe spaces to hold public forums, so like town halls. We partnered with Anika Bowie, who is a former candidate for St. Paul City Council in Frogtown District or District 2, City Ward 2. She also is one of the foundational women in the Black Women Rising movement, which was a movement that produced 20 Black women who were dedicated to running for offices during this past election cycle. And she also has a public office boot camp that she named Run Like Harriet, which is a program that trains and develops the leadership ability or necessity and abilities for running for public office. So we partnered throughout the summer with national and local. We partnered with national partners and connected them with local leaders to together in an effort to bridge the gaps in the intergenerational leadership, which was kind of the theme of the summer. So we've hosted a few movie nights also where we would invite seasoned professionals and some business owners, some former like board members of various boards to come and participate in on these movie night discussion panels that would precede the actual movie as a way to continue to engage the community in this time. And so those are just, kind of highlight the 300-foot view of what we've done just in the most recent past. Um, if there's anything you want me to directly highlight.
I think that's pretty much it. So you highlighted just a little bit about some of the work that we've done and how we was able to bring some of the folk who have acquired this knowledge and how we've been able to acquire some of this knowledge, and what brings us here today, which is sharing this information and tips on how to run for public office. So running for office could give everyone a chance to make a difference. Before going all in, be sure you carefully weigh the pros and cons, because holding an elected office is a major responsibility, and running a campaign demands time and money. While there are plenty of tiny details to navigate, remember that people are your priority, and your aim is to become a public servant. So the most important step is to engage the people you'd like to serve. But before we get into that, how, let's explore what and why first. Go to the next slide, please. So what problems are we solving? So freeing our communities from political bondage by learning how to turn our pain, which is a physical, mental suffering or discomfort caused by something or someone, and understanding how pain is greater than our power. Uh, and within our power, we have an unlimitedness. So pain for that moment can also be repetitive and transforming and into some form of power can have tremendous outcomes. So some of the pain that impacts us is pain from being born into a community impacted by mass incarceration, homelessness, economic turmoil, survivor of abuse, family separation, all the lots. So what problems do we want to solve when it comes to running for office? What is power? So power is the ability to do something or act on it a certain way. The capacity of ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events, whether it's political or social authority or control, especially exercised by government. So we look at power by more of a framework, such as financial capital, educational capital, and human capital. So having the ability to look at power by these different frameworks allows us to be able to gain the knowledge, which is key because someone or some entity has the power or the control right now of what we're learning and what we're experiencing in our lives. So once we decide that we're going to take control of our knowledge and influence decision makers, we begin using our power to advocate and fight for equal and just opportunities is how we can use our power. Why politics? So everyone experiences pain and everyone recognizes power. It is important for folks to recognize power and just as much as they recognize pain. So politics are activities associated with the governance of a country or the area, especially the debate or conflict among individuals or parties having or hoping to achieve power. So everything is pretty much politics when it comes to education, health, finances, family, food, neighborhoods. That's pretty much legislation or everything I just named. And they're all very related to politics or considered to be political. So until we realize this, we will have more political games run on us as a community. The more knowledge and power we have will help to influence politics, especially as a trusted source of information and reliability. Running for office is threatening power as well, because with that, it creates political change. So keep in mind, when you're running for office, it consists of both words and blows. So your how will be defined by your why. So a few questions, we go to the next slide. As we transition, think about a few questions to ask ourselves. We received these questions from Anika's Run Like Harriet curriculum, and I feel like they're very relevant. So what is our spiritual guide? What is our why? Whether your spiritual guide is, higher being or whatever it may be. And our why, is it, getting folk out of bondage? Is it because you feel hopeless and feel like you're in the dark? Have you made a difference? Are you already in the communities making a difference? Can you look back at your track record and see that you have done something that that you have strived to do to make a difference for? One thing you have to keep in mind is policy our love language. Is policy something that we can understand, we can articulate, we can comprehend? Politics has its own language, such as with law, religion, and other cultures. So we need to make sure that policy is something that we can deep dig into when it comes to the bylaws, statutes, and make sure it's something that we really care about how systems and institutions are running. What is our North Star? So what's guiding us? Are you brave enough to get the bag? Are you brave enough to get the money? It's going to take a lot of money to campaign. Do you have a squad around you? I heard NSBE talking about the executive leadership team of their chapter in the previous years. They had a squad around them. So having a team that sees the same vision and is 100% behind each other is essential for running for office as well. So you want people surrounding you who can help you get to that next level and have your best interests at heart.
If I could just quickly add in,
So,
all of this is really important stuff to know when deciding if you want to run for office. But just to give kind of like some flat out facts, literally any U.S. citizen who meets the requirements are able uh, to run for office, for a public office, as long as you meet the requirement. Now you can have a campaign that is a huge marketing pull in, or you don't necessarily have to have a campaign. You can there's a few different ways to actually go about officiating your candidacy, and I think the next slide will be getting into a little bit of that. And just to kind of set the basis, the two types of campaigns, one is a financially backed campaign, which deals with donors, a lot of marketing, a lot of advertisement, which is why you see a lot of people, you see a lot of money associated with the election season, is because people, one, pay staff, two, they pay for like their airway content. So if you hear an ad on the radio and you know that person never lived in like your community, or you never even heard of them, but because they're going for something that covers your community, say commissioner or say governor, you know, that person acquires that through their campaign finances. Now you can also campaign without a financially backed uh, institution or support, by simply going into the state house, signing the proper declaration to receive and count any votes that are submitted in your favor. You have to have your state number of delegates. So each state has a different number. So you'll have these things called electors. What electors are people who you choose to vote for you no matter what. So say this is how kind of Kanye got on the Minnesota ballot. He came to the state, he went into the state house, and he told them he wants to count every vote that is cast in our state ballot or state election for the presidency. And he brought with him 10 folks who also said that they will support him, because Minnesota, we have 10, I believe it is, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel, but I believe we have about 10 electors, and those 10 people say, no matter what, I'm voting for this person. So you basically might as well count his vote. And then that also initiates and instructs the state to recognize your candidacy. And then with that, you're able to use in the write-in option, which you'll see at the bottom of your ballot of each section. It kind of looks like a standardized test. You'll see a write-in option, which is usually a other option, but that's, you know, just another way just to give you some flat facts about running for public office. So yes, knowing why you want to engage in the political process that governs our institutions is definitely important, and knowing what you're going to do when you get in there. But to be flat honest and flat facts, anyone who meets the requirements is eligible.
Right. So the different, I guess, the different positions or different public offices one can file candidacy for would be U.S. President, county officials, U.S. Senator, city officers, city council, U.S. representatives, school members, school board members, state senator, township officers, state reps, judicial seats as well. So part one of running for public office, when it comes to our tips, of course, we want to say get involved, reach out to your community months before the filing deadline, get your name out there well in advance of becoming a candidate, join your neighborhood associations, attend city council meetings, get involved with as many community and civic organizations as you can. You want people to recognize who you are when you run, and it's important to get to know potential voters and to understand what their concerns are. You also want to research offices that will allow you to make a difference. So what available positions will depend on how your local government is structured. The right office for you also depends on maybe on your experience level, but like Kai said, you don't necessarily need experience to run for public office.
But
But
you
it's
do need
also
passion.
right. It's also dependent on your specific issues you want to address. So generally speaking, offices such as city council and school board member are more attainable for first-time candidates. And when you're just starting out, it might be tough to run a successful campaign to represent your state or province in a national Congress or Parliament. So those smaller positions are a little bit easier, especially when you're just starting out, getting your name out there. But if it's your goal to run for your nation's Congress or Parliament, you might start by running for school board or city council, and then from there, offices such as mayor, representative of your state or province, legislator, could be stepping stools to national offices. You can visit the state Secretary of State website for information on available offices, and you can find the Secretary of State's website at sos.state.mn.us. Keep in mind, running for an open office is easier than running for one held by a strong incumbent. Make sure you meet the position's required qualifications, like I said earlier. So, in order to run for office, you have to meet citizenship, residency, age, and other requirements that are required qualifications. They vary by location in office. In addition, you'll need to file an application, pay an application fee, and in some cases, file a petition with a number of signatures. This goes back to making sure that your votes count when people do write you in. The Secretary of State's website election section includes information about candidacy requirements. If you guys have any questions regarding that. So next slide, raising money. So figure out your budget, examine your finances, determine what you can contribute to out of your own pocket. Figure out if you can take time off of work to campaign, or if you need to, keep your full-time job. Estimate the cost of signs, literature, travel, website designing, domain hosting, campaign staff if you're hiring any, and other expenses. If you're running for a local office, such as city council, you might only need around $20,000 for campaign signs, ads, and the website, maybe 1 to 2 part-time staff, and venues to hold rallies and other public events. On the other hand, statewide races for governor, state legislator, or U.S. House or Senate offices can cost hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, as we see. So, as a candidate, you want to set up a bank account, website with the ability to collect donations. In order to accept political donations, you'll need a checking account in your campaign's name. So it'll make sure it's easier for potential contributors. You should also include a donations page in your campaign website, which is linked to that account. And you'll need to declare your campaign finances. So make sure you keep detailed records of every donation and expense. If you belong to a political party, talk to your local committee officials about your candidacy. At minimum, they can probably give you advice and training. The local or national party might also be interested in providing financial assistance.
I got a quick comment just about the party system. So you can also run an independent campaign with a strong message and enough support. And I want to just assert that the two-party system also is a coordination with oppressive supremacist ideologies, because as we know, we are not a monolithic nor a binary. So you can use that write-in option and still create your own support system for your candidacy, if that is an option you choose.
Thank you, guys. So you also can see if your local party can give you access to resources such as voter demographics, emails, address lists, and major donors. You can try reaching out to local politicians in your party who currently hold office. Getting an endorsement from a well-liked governor or representative could help you win your race. As for candidates in your party running against you, it's wise to build a coalition and agree to run a clean race There's times where, which we see the current White House administration, where it could be kind of nasty. Connect with major party contributors, write to, telephone individuals, companies, organizations who donated to candidates with platforms similar to your own. Donors affiliated with your party can also host fundraisers and connect you with other contributors. In addition to campaign contributions, having the endorsement of a well-known individual or entity can boost your name recognition. So when you ask for donations, name the core issues which should resonate with the potential donor and detail your solutions. Recruit volunteers to canvas, collect donations. Major donations are helpful, but every little bit helps. Your volunteers should go door to door with campaign literatures, donation forms. Be sure to train your volunteers to communicate intelligently and politely with potential donors. Family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, they all can serve as volunteers. So people from your place of worship, neighborhood, other community organizations such as this one. So you should be able to recruit volunteers through website and social media pages as well. As we go to the final slide, part 3, we talk a little bit about how to run your campaign. So hiring campaign staff as your budget allows might include a campaign manager, fundraising director, volunteer coordinator, communications or public relations director. But having an attorney on staff also can be beneficial as well. But if you're running for a lower office, you might have a tight budget, so you'll likely need to wear many hats and handle most of these duties yourself. If you work full-time during your campaigns, wise to bring a campaign manager on board if at all possible. Post job listings online and tap your network to recruit campaign staff. Your local political committee could also help put you in touch with capable individuals. But while volunteers could take on many duties in a smaller election, a major election such as mayor or major city or statewide office could keep in mind it's tougher to hold volunteers accountable if they don't follow through because they're volunteers and they're not paid employees. Create campaign literature with a clear, concise message. Identify the core issues that define your campaign. Think of a brief slogan, key phrase that is memorable, it captures your message. Make sure your campaign signs, pamphlets, and other literature includes your slogan and core issues as ballot points or keywords. And if you believe the incumbent, who you're running against lacks experience to run the office efficiently, highlight your practical experience with quote unquote a real leader or experience counts, for example, similar catchphrases, just to highlight your ability. Pamphlets can also further detail your messaging, identify the problem in your solution. Learn as much as possible about important topics, especially those that are near and dear to people in your community and in the areas that you may serve. This is another reason why engaging your community again is early on is key. Find out which topics are most important to voters, research those topics, and develop a clear stance. Be prepared to present your stance one-on-one with voters at campaign rallies and interviews in the candidate forums or debates. For example, suppose you're running for city council and voters in your district are worried that a new development will push out long-term homeowners, which I see in my neighborhood currently. And so if a development in recent years has pushed property taxes up 200-300%, you might promise to propose a tax break for a long time, and you might be able to get those white homeowners on your side, for example. Practice public speaking, events and debates, which is what I'm doing here today. We don't need to be experts at orally speaking, but we should be able to speak in public confidently. Review our core issues, refine our knowledge on those issues, hone in on what distinguishes us from our opponents, come up with responses to potential press questions and debate arguments in advance. Just be familiar with your opponent's campaign, but focus on why your message offers the best solution. So don't be too caught into the negative attacks and personal attacks. Using social media to your advantage is key. Utilizing social media involves more than just simply creating pages. You'll need to update them multiple times a day. Use them to learn more about voters, constituents, and interact with people using virtual tools. Share articles on your core issues, post photos and video of you and your campaign team hard at work. Be sure to vet your posts and only share information from reputable and reliable sources. Sorry about my dog, y'all. So just use the post to drive civic conversations and check comments to learn more about voters' opinions. Actively engage with voters. Participate in comment sections and forums. Hold live Q&A sessions on Twitter, Facebook, things of that nature. Just make every opportunity to interact with your community count. Talking to people is the first and last step of winning an election. Hit the streets, knock on doors, pick up the phone, reach out to potential voters at every available opportunity, from your campaign's early stages to election day. Making connections with members of your community will give you the best shot at success. A few things to keep in mind are to tailor outreach to different audiences. Don't assume knowledge as plain language. Keep in mind the cultural, historical context and competencies. Make sure you individualize issues in your conversations. Each group may have different priorities, so make sure you're individualizing your conversations with the different groups that you're talking to. Each person will also have different priorities. And so also make sure that you're translating, whether it's technical versus conversational, or whether it's just different foreign languages. Being able to take a technical policy and breaking it down to a community so that they can understand it is very important as well. As we go to the next slide, I just want to say, for the post campaign, just remember to stay connected to your community after the campaign. If you're elected to office, remain in touch with your constituents, listen to their concerns. Don't get discouraged if you're not elected. There's folk who it took multiple runs before they became elected. So continue to fight for the issues near and dear to your heart. And with that, Kaiser, if you have anything to add, I believe our next slide is questions.
Nope, I think we covered everything. I am available for a couple minutes. I do got a 7:30 meeting, so I'm available for a little bit for questions if there are any.
Yeah, hello, Vachel and Hassan. I had a question in regarding to some of the ballots, I guess, to make sure you're voting safely and it gets counted. So I've been hearing some of the, at least on the news, where, there's certain things on the ballots like marks or something, like that make it invalid. So are there anything on our ballot that we should be looking for to make sure it gets counted or
I think
it doesn't become invalid?
that goes to how you mark it. So if the circle isn't completely filled in, that can cause room for error. If you might have thought, maybe you were thinking and you made a mark on the paper itself, no matter where, if it was like in the box, and then you went and made another mark. They do things like real technical like that when they're counting the votes. So what they say is best practice, and I don't know why they well, yeah, it makes sense why they say it every election season, is to make sure you're filling in only the circle that you want to vote for. So if you need time to think before you actually place the pin to the paper, because they're gonna look for any pin chip that was not there before. If that answers your question.
And also, let's say you're voting in person and you make a mistake. Like, can you request for another ballot or something
Yes.
like that? Okay.
Yep. The only time you don't get another ballot is if you mailed it in. You technically, physically can literally go up to the polling station if you went and voted already via mail, but that's unethical. And they probably would, if they hadn't already received it, noticed when counting that it was twice. So the best practice is just discard the mistake and request a new one, either in person or before the actual election, or not, before the actual election, so that you can earmark it on election day.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. Good evening. Thank you very much for your presentation. I was wondering, I voted early in person at my local city council building, and they told me that votes would start being counted 2 weeks before the election. So that would have been as of yesterday. And so I've gone on to the website to see and put in my driver's license number and so forth. And it still just says that I either requested a absentee or mail-in ballot or whatnot. Do you know how soon before the election the votes that we cast in person, like starting September 18th, when they should actually be counted? I was told that they would start counting them 2 weeks before the election. And I'm wondering, how long should we wait before we should be concerned if we don't have a notification that our vote hasn't been counted? Like if we go to the website and it still says that you just received a mail-in ballot, but it doesn't say that it was counted yet. Do you know how long it should take them to count it?
I don't want to speculate on that, but my working theory would be that because such an unprecedented, I don't know which one's the right one, but because it's such
unprecedented
time, there probably is a high volume of absentee and early voters that they might just haven't even got through at the moment and counted yours, or it may have been counted and it's just waiting to be inputted into the system.
Well, thank you very much.
But yeah, I don't want to speculate, but that is my working theory.
Thank you.
But I do know I'm with you. My vote better be counted.
Yeah. Just would get concerned if it got close to November 3rd and it doesn't register as being counted. So thank you.
And at the Urban League, we're definitely keeping really close eyes on all of that at a national level.
I was going to say this is another thing I wanted to encourage. Why I wanted to encourage folks to drop their ballots off in person or vote in person the day of election day, so that we can guarantee that our vote does count. We physically watch it go in that box, or when we get to the polls, we can actually we could toss our ballot and actually vote in person if we do it the day of. So, and then if there's early voting, you can also do it then. So they're going to do everything they can to suppress our votes. So let's be vigilant and creative with how we do.
In regards to running for office, are you seeing an increase in the number of people of color that are running for office?
I won't say yes, especially after what happened with George Floyd here in Minnesota. The Black Women's Rising organization had 45 Black women running for office this past primary, and there's also 8 or 9 brothers. There's also 8 or 9 brothers. You have Bobby Joe Champion, Jeff Hayden, Senator Hayden, and whatnot, who are also part of this organization. But many of the folk who recently ran for the primary back in August were, when we brought them on a conversation on our town hall at the Urban League, a lot of them mentioned that what happened with George Floyd was what inspired them to run. So we do see the increase with the social unrest, with the increased awareness of the disparities, and just Black folk being fed up.
I would also say that yes, there was 45 Black women from throughout the entire state. Also those brothers as well. But just in terms of ethnically diverse communities running, yes. Minnesota has always had we're kind of like the little apple compared to the big apple, where we are like one of the top 5 like really diverse communities, although we still have the disparities that are institutional, and that is because we don't necessarily have those power players in those positions. But yes, in response to the most recent events throughout the year, there has been a lot of ethnically diverse communities putting their name in the bucket for elected offices. And I didn't mean to make it like sound like a very political response. Like, but yes.
I appreciate that. It's good information to understand.
Mhm. Yeah, there's also unappointed or unelected offices, or you're appointed. You can sit on advisory boards. There's other ways to get involved as well. It's all is not through public office. So running for neighborhood association boards, committees, things of that nature, and also ways that we can utilize our power and be able to advocate for issues that we care about as well.
Yeah, if I could add on to that, everyone. What's up, Rachel? I don't know if you recognize me or remember me, but I definitely think that I know the first thing that everybody thinks about. I don't know if you remember me from H&R Block, but
Oh
one of the
yeah,
things,
how you doing, man? It's
yeah,
good
I'm
to see
good.
you.
Good to see you too. One of the things that a lot of people think quickly about when they want to make a difference is running for that public office. But I think there are, especially in Minneapolis, a lot of neighborhood and community groups that exist that you can jump on the commission for. You apply, and they're looking for people of color. And I think that's something that you guys have to be very cognizant of. Um, we like and these organizations are giving out grants, and so you get to be in charge of the votes, and so you can impact outside of just running for public office. And I appreciate you for bringing that up, because I think that's something that gets lost in a lot of conversations, is that those commissions and the boards that you can sit on, and the amount of difference you can make in the community still by sitting on those commissions, and bringing a voice that is often unheard. So
Yeah, I would also just add on that being on those, so being engaged throughout the municipalities, so understanding government structure, you'll understand that things are broken down kind of layer by layer, depending on what you're talking about and where you're talking about implementing some type of action. Being on neighborhood boards is the difference between like having a market rate high rise developed in a spot that already has a bunch of uh, commercial spaces that's just going to increase the neighborhood like property taxes, and then increase rent rates for uh, for those who are already in a kind of subsidized AMI percentile, and having a community center erected, or a place for like youth to develop their entrepreneurial confidence, or even just orienting space for different purposes. That's kind of like one of the low key under rated like power positions, is being in those and to a point those are elected too, but really those are just whoever wants to join in, and that is where most of the impact that you will see immediately happening. That's where those decisions are made, because they get informed by the city, and the city gets informed by the county, and the county gets informed by the state and the region, and all so on and so forth. So if you're looking for direct impact, if you want to see like an instant gratification, those local offices are most impactful also, or equally impactful. um yeah, I'm stop talking. And I
Yeah.
actually do gotta step out at the moment. So I appreciate you guys allowing me to share space with you guys.
Absolutely.
Please get at me.
All right. So the last slide was definitely just follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We appreciate the opportunity to be here, be able to break bread and connect with you all, share this information and resources. And hopefully you guys reach out if you have any questions. Feel free to connect with any of us outside of outside of this meeting. I will put my email in the chat.
That is the pandemic and you can't do anything in person. You can't meet up with people. You can't do nothing.
is somebody talking?
So yeah, I put my email in the chat if anybody has any questions, anyone wants to know how to get involved with the Urban League Twin Cities. And we're always looking for folks like you all, especially engineers. We don't have any engineers in our current chapter, so we would love some representation. So thank you again. I'm going to step away, let you guys finish your meeting from here.
Thank you, Rachel.
Take care.
I appreciate all the information. It was really helpful.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Rachel and Hassan. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Peace.
All right. This is a small video we'll just play regarding voting. So,
over the past few months, I've learned a thing or two from young people about how to quarantine successfully. You've taught me how to make a mean sourdough starter. It looks awful. You showed me the Renegade Challenge. Great name, by the way, which I've been enjoying on my Finsta. So, since you've given me so much lately and so much hope over the years, I want to return the favor and help you make a plan in the upcoming election. You know the stakes for your lives, for your futures, your planet. And because young people have always been the ones to make change in this country, making change this fall is once again going to depend on you. Since we're still dealing with a pandemic, we've got to approach voting just like we do everything else these days. Shopping, ordering dinner, pulling off a surprise birthday party over Zoom. We've got a plan. First, you've got to register. Just go to votesaveamerica.com and answer the quick prompts. Once you're registered, the next step in your plan is figuring out how and when you're going to vote. And there are a few options. You can vote in person. In many states, you can vote in person before November 3rd. That's a great option. You can also vote in person on election day. The other route is to vote by mail. Some places call this absentee voting. You might hear it called voting from home. It's all the same, like Donald Glover and Childish Gambino. Just be sure to check the rules in your state. Now, I know that mail-in voting is an area where a lot of young people might have questions because we're not talking email, we're not talking Gmail, we are talking throwback, vintage, OG mail. But don't worry, I got this one. Here's the deal. A few states mail you a ballot automatically if you're registered, but in most, you've got to request your ballot. So you should do that right now because it might take a little while to arrive. Once you receive it, open it immediately and read all the instructions. Make your choices, then sign it, seal it, and drop it off in a mailbox or a ballot drop box. That's it. Get registered, then vote as early as you possibly can. Now, there are a lot of people out there trying to confuse and mislead you about this election. They're trying to make you cynical. They're trying to get you to believe that your vote doesn't matter. Do not let them do that. Our democracy is a precious thing, and it's up to all of us to protect it. And upholding our responsibilities as citizens is perhaps the most powerful way for all of us, millennials, boomers, Gen Z, Gen X, to join forces. So register, vote as early as you can, and do whatever it takes to make sure your voice is heard in this election. Now that we're done with that, you want to see my Renegade?
all right. We'll go to the announcement part. So the first announcement is we'll have the professional engineering license panel event coming out soon. I believe that will be next week on Thursday, October 29th. The time is there to be between 6 to 7:30 p.m. So NSBE TCPC collaborating with other organizations such as Engineers Without Borders, Engineering Alliance of Minnesota. We have the Minnesota Structural Engineers Association and Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And within this event, we'll have a panelist that comprise professionals with PE license. We have from various type of PE, like mechanical, civil, electrical. So basically to be a interactive session where they'll kind of give us their own experience, and the people who attend will be having an opportunity to ask question how to get a PE. So I'll really recommend everyone within our membership to make a point of registering for that event. And yeah, you can learn a lot about gaining a PE. So that's about it.
All right, and then I'll talk about this 5 for 5 initiative. If you've been here since the beginning, you probably heard about it a little bit earlier, but as you know, NSBE's turning 5 this year, just turned 5 actually as of this month. And so we're running a 5 for 5 initiative where we'll be giving out scholarships to the community. We're raising $5,000 in community funds and then having companies match that. Happy to announce that by the end of this week, this Friday, we'll be launching our first scholarship. Very, very exciting because this scholarship actually also comes with an internship potential opportunity. So those who are awarded the scholarship will also receive an interview with Seagate, the company, which is a really awesome opportunity. It will be extended to undergrad and graduate students. So be on the lookout for some communications from us by the end of this week on the Seagate application, and be sure to let anybody who you may know that may be interested about it. Really excited to have this, and Seagate collaborated and partnered with us on it. So really excited for the potential opportunity it could bring.
So we're having a NSBE TCPC podcast coming out soon. Our first guest will be Ray Smith-Bird, our current president, and we're just going to be talking about pretty much what NSBE means to him and kind of how he's got started. And we're also going to be collaborating with MSP on that as well. They're going to ask him some questions. So when we get that out, be sure to tune in and just listen to kind of the conversations that we're going to have. And then we're also going to have other topics as well, such as like marriage, politics, like we had kind of today, community investment, education, leadership, systemic racism, and things like that. If you want to be a part of the podcast, just contact me at programs at nsbetcpc.org, and we can get you involved. Also, we have a mentoring program. Like I said, like in our icebreaker earlier, if you were there for it, we have been winning the regional, we have the best collegiate the best collegiate program in the region for the past 3 years. And we'd like to continue that, that success. But in order to do that, we need to have mentors. Right now, our mentee to mentor ratio is around 2 to 1. So we really need mentors we really need you all to apply to be mentors. I know things have been busy, especially this COVID, with the COVID going on, but it really helped the collegiate students out with being, their mentor and helping them navigate it as we learn to navigate, this, the current circumstances as well. So if you want to sign up or have any questions, contact Mascarum, our collegiate chair at collegechair@nsbtcpc.org, and look out for the flyers. If you want the link, there's a link down there below, as well as look out for emails or posting on our social media websites or social media sites.
Okay, so we are partnering with the Minnesota STEM Partners, which is our NSBE Junior Hub, and they are looking for robotics volunteers. So they've got 22 different robotics teams that are operating both middle school and high school. You don't need any experience to join as a volunteer, but they desperately need coaches and assistants to really help guide the kids and guide them with their projects in robotics. So on these slides, there is a link to directly sign up. They are working both virtually and in person. So if you're not comfortable to coach in person, there is a virtual option to help with those kids via MSP. So you can either go directly to that link to sign up, or if you have any additional questions, you can send me an email at precollegiate.initiative@nsbetcpc.org.
And as soon as this meeting's over, I'll drop the links to both the mentorship program as well as the volunteer for MSP and NSBE Junior in the chat as well. So as always, stay updated. You can look at some of like the things for like the 505 initiative or signing up to be a member at nsbetcpc.org. Check out our Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and other social media sites to stay updated. And with that, have a great week, stay safe, and be on the lookout for other NSBE TCPC opportunities, as well as go out and vote and make your voices heard.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Great event.
Thanks everybody for joining, and those that stayed on for the duration of the call.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. You have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night.